Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of RE/MAX Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soule.
And welcome to Community Conversations. I'm so glad that you're on the other end of our radio dial today because, again, I have the pleasure of having Dr. David Moore, our Indian River County School Superintendent, with us, with me, right, and our producer, Jesse. And so we're going to talk about the latest and greatest things happening in the school district. And I want to start by saying congratulations on the number of graduates. The graduation rate in Indian River County just keeps going up, and that's a wonderful thing for the future of our community.
Absolutely. First and foremost, Vicki, thank you for having me, the opportunity to come in and talk through some of the great things that are happening in the school district of Indian River County. Really is something I look forward to each and every single time. So thank you for having me. Graduation rates, that information just came out earlier this month, and what we are able to experience over the course of the last several years is significant improvement. And the way you just set it up is the truth. More students are graduating. So graduation rate came out. We have a graduation rate of 95%.
Wow.
So what does that mean, though? Graduation rate 95%. We track that number by looking at the day a student enters 9th grade.
Okay.
So, and then if that student does not graduate 4 years later, they count against your graduation rate. So what that number really means is when our 9th graders 4 years ago started that 9th grade year, 95% of them graduated.
And I can't help but connect the dots relative to health literacy, graduation rates, and the future economic success of our community.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of numbers that a school system or any professional organization looks at to determine success. This is the number one number. This is what you look at, that graduation
how did you do
rate.
That? I'm so curious.
There's not one thing, but you understand that it takes many things. So you don't get to having the 5th highest graduation rate of 67 counties in the district without ensuring that you have a comprehensive program. So if you think of, your high school experience or my high school experience, and you think of the relationships that were developed along the way, for some students, it's the football coach or the basketball coach who encourage them to get in class, to have the GPA, to play. Right. For others, it's that teacher that just continued to nurture and create a relationship. For others, it was an elementary school counselor who just continued to work with that kid who was really, really hard to work with, but that person or that teacher or counselor never gave up. So and for
a few, it might still be their parents who say, you can go to college, you're bright, but you can't do that if you're screwing off in 8th grade. So get with the program.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that, I don't want to sit here and take credit for, only 2 years in saying, look at what we did. We now have a 95% graduation rate. I think the one contribution that we've had is really to use data as our superpower. And some of the things, if we don't bring to the attention of parents and of counselors and teachers regarding a student's progress with enough time to respond, ultimately that lack of information is failing the child and the family. So one of the things that we immediately did upon my arrival is really begin to look at providing that information regarding, credits and possible course failure with enough time to interact or to respond. You're
not telling them in April that they've missed 65 days of school.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So we go through a process at the end of each quarter or 9 weeks, depending on where you're from, where we're looking at students who did not pass classes or had even a D in the class to say, let's have that point of contact. Let's make sure the parents know. And if they do have an F or are failing, what can we do now? So we create that pathway for the child so he has or she has that hope. And a lot of times, as we just entered the second semester, so the year's half over, and there are students, because of the pandemic, because of the new courses, because of being a teenager, who are struggling in school. We can't close our eyes to that. That's just the truth. but we need to be able to create a path, a path of hope on, don't look backwards, understand what happened, learn from it, but what can we do moving forward? So at the end of the school year, we're looking back and saying, from this point, in January, I turned the page, I shifted some behaviors, I did some things differently, and now I captured the entire credit for that particular course.
So do you have some additional resources for some of these kids? In my day, it was if you didn't do it in school, you did it after school.
Yeah. So one of the things we've done is really enhance interventions, really looking at where students are academically, looking at the standards within a specific course, and linking those interventions before school or after school to what's taking place in the classroom. A lot of times what we find is we're going to have tutoring. It's great. If a student knows exactly where he or she needs tutoring. So we use some of this data when we have that after school services directly link to what's taking place in the classroom. So even if it isn't the actual teacher who's teaching language arts or reading or math, they have access to what standards that child needs help on. Providing help in reading is great, but maybe we need to understand, is it fluency? Is it main idea? Is it comprehension? What best supports this child? So we've been able to create that link. So whether it's before school or after school, we know exactly where to provide that additional support. Same thing with our wraparound services we have throughout the community. And that is one of the best things about Indian River County is the level of involvement our community has. We really are looking school to school and student to student to say, let's look at where we provide the appropriate services for children. Just not, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, but really saying we have, this service, whether it's an after-school math program. I'll give you an example, Crossover Mission. They wanted to do some summer programming. And we're saying, well, we know we have a big deficit in math as a result of the pandemic. Reading, we're gonna work that out. We're gonna be a good place. But in math, we're really struggling. So why don't we combine the two? The basketball, and we combined it, and we did robotics, and we were able to infuse a lot of the math standards for our middle school students. Now,
that's a tough crowd.
Yeah.
That's a real tough crowd.
Trying to sell summer programming to a middle school student, not the easiest thing to do. But when you tie the two together, what you see is this great relationship, and kids are like, okay, I can do it.
It's not punishment anymore.
No,
there's a basketball involved.
Right, there's basketball involved, and they had a choice. They could have done the basketball or they could have done the robotics, and that was half of the day, and the other half of the day was very meaningful preparation. So, everything ties into graduation rate. It is no small feat. We're very excited about that celebration. Being number 5 in the state is really a point of pride for us in the school district of Indian River County.
Well, and my hat's off to everyone who's involved in the school system, as well as the community partners, because as we know in our own business, there's not one particular person that makes it or breaks it. It's a team effort. And so looking at the numbers, your whole team has embraced this idea of individualizing and supporting every student that's in it. So hats off to all.
In this day and time, it's the only option. So we continue to learn things that are new. As we went into the holiday break in December.
For a much-needed vacation.
A much-needed.
I might say.
An absolute break was well-deserved by absolutely everyone. But as we returned, we're returning to the Omicron spike and a reality that we thought or hoped we would be done with. So actually what we're seeing now or over the course of January was more students out, or teachers out, I'm sorry. We had 221 teachers come down with COVID the beginning from the first day of school to December 17th. Now, within this window of time in January, we've had just that number in 3 weeks.
Holy moly.
So it is responding. We created and we planned for the worst and hope we never had to implement a plan. But we said, you know what, let's begin to train all of our district staff on what it means to be a substitute. They said, okay, we'll do it. We're never going to have to actually do this. And a lot of district staff are former teachers, or former principals, but depending on their job. They don't necessarily need that training, but we have accountants, we have business professionals who kind of do a lot of things downtown. They took their training, and we've had between 50 and 75 employees deployed to schools since we've been back in January.
And so if there's any substitute teachers out there who are here as snowbirds, should they call you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because this is a response to a high spike as it relates to the pandemic. But the truth is, over the course of a school year, substitutes are in high demand. Teachers are in high demand.
Yeah.
But we can connect, whether it's a snowbird or someone who's got 2 or 3 days available, we can connect you to schools of your choice, and the burden that you would take off other teachers and the administrators would be great. And you'd have a great time really just interacting with our students.
So you have to have a teaching license to be a substitute?
Well, there are requirements.
Yeah.
So it very generically speaking through, it's that 60 credit hours. Doesn't have to be an Associate of Arts degree. Or a little bit less, and we'll work with folks and look at the transcripts in the past record. There's some training that we're able to now provide to get folks in. We've actually increased the pay for substitutes in the midst of this particular time in order to attract. Now, I can tell you, it's never going to be enough, but every little bit helps.
Yeah, and the reality is it aids the continuity for the students. Nothing disturbed me more than saying, there's no point in my going to school. Mr. So-and-so is out all week, and they're just going to have a different substitute every day. It's like, you need to go anyways.
Yeah.
You still have an opportunity to learn.
And what can you do to keep the experience consistent for a student? So, you don't want to go to school and now I got to, go sit in someone else's class because we don't have substitutes.
Right.
Teachers have the lessons available. There's things that they can do in the class, but when you break down that class, it really just breaks down the culture and morale at a school.
Exactly.
So if you lead with the student focus, let's keep the kids in their class with their classmates, and allow that substitute to implement what they've been trained to do, which is the substitute lesson to keep some consistency in the classroom. And what that has done in comparison to a lot of other counties is keep that morale high. Now, we don't plan on doing it forever because we won't need to. But, we're beginning to see, we looked at the county numbers. We're on the downward trend for at least 1 week. Does it stay that way? I'm not trying to
The predictions are saying that, it is going to go down. So speaking of going, our time is going rather quickly. So we better stop for a short break for our sponsors. And then we'll come back and we'll have more candid conversations about life in school.
All right.
Many women forego their own health care, giving their time to family and friends. And some forego health care for financial reasons, with not enough income for basic necessities and their own medical needs. I'm Vicki Soule, CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health, and I'm giving in honor of my mom, who taught me the value of early cancer detection. Join me in gifting healthcare to women. Visit tcchinc.org and donate to honor the women in your life.
Got hungry, kids? Great, because kids eat free every Tuesday at the grill at C.W. Willis Family Farms. Enjoy American favorites out on the spacious patio.
C.W. Willis, what you gonna grill us?
On Oslo Road in Vero Beach, online at cwwillisfamilyfarms.com.
Confusion at the cart? There's an app for that. The Solid Waste Disposal District has launched a new mobile app called Carter's Corner to help Indian River County residents find out if an item is recyclable before it goes in the blue cart. Download the app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit ircrecycles.com. Just type in the item and get recycling information within seconds. So eliminate confusion at the cart and recycle right.
Sturgis Lumber is more than just lumber. Timber! Residential, commercial, and industrial applications. Sturgis has all of the hardware to help with your project. Visit SturgisLumber.com. 4 generations strong, Sturgis Lumber and Hardware. More than just lumber.
If you want a home that has the style of the coast, come to Sunshine Furniture during the Tommy Bahama and Lexington half-price spring home event. Now until February 28th, you save 50% on all bedroom, dining room, media, office, and occasional furniture with fresh finishes and rich textures made from materials that reflect the essence of coastal living. At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is also filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture from Universal, Hooker, Riverside, Four Seasons, and Capri. We are the outdoor furniture experts and have the largest selection of patio furniture anywhere. Visit Sunshine Furniture now during the Tommy Bahama and Lexington half-price spring home event. All pictures, lamps, and accessories are 50% off. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com. Also, don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store just across the street.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. My name is Vicki Soulé, and I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health, where we provide primary medical, dental, behavioral health, pharmacy, you name it. We're in the healthcare business because we believe that everyone is entitled to have comprehensive, high-quality, accessible care from birth until the end. And so we do our very best to make it a friendly experience, a worthwhile experience to keep you healthy throughout your whole life and that of your families as well. But we're also considered community partners. We know that we can't do everything by ourselves, nor do we try to. And so today I have one of our community partners, Dr. David Moore. For those of you that are just joining us, Dr. Moore is the superintendent of Indian River County School District. And we've been talking at this first half about the high graduation rate that's been achieved, the 5th in the whole state, with a 95% graduation rate, and no messing around with the numbers. Data is a good thing.
Absolutely. So we're very proud of that number to obtain that. We're just 3 years ago, I think we were 21st in graduation rate. So significant movement. A lot of what that really is assessing over the last 2 years is how you've leveraged through that pandemic. And although all 67 districts have been faced with the exact same challenges, everyone has a little, how you respond to that pandemic. You evaluate where you were before the pandemic and where you are after the pandemic. So when we look at that number, as well as another indicators from state data, we continue to be encouraged about the growth that we're seeing, and this pandemic's been a crisis. There's no two ways about it, but how do you leverage a crisis, and we think we've been able to leverage it by building relationships, coming in new. And we spoke about the last time I was on your show. It was only 44 days until the pandemic actually shut down our school system. So that was the opportunity to, put our words aligned with our walk and create relationships.
And there's the secret: create, innovate, respond.
Right. Yep. And we were able to do that in a way that put us better on the backside of the pandemic, if there's such a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're on the backside as of yet.
From your lips to God's ears, as they say.
And as we were saying the first segment, you prepare for the worst, you plan for the worst. You hope you never have to implement these plans, but we continue to do that. But even despite where we are with the pandemic, I think the theory of action of saying, "Oh, this is done," is the wrong theory of action. We have to understand we're going to have other variants come through our town, throughout our state.
Or other diseases, for that matter.
Exactly. So how do we keep ourselves connected, engaged, and function as a community in a successful school system, despite what is our new reality? And I think we've really done a good job of embracing that theory of action to keep our schools open.
And that's what we have to do. We have to keep our schools open, at least the majority of the time, because children are sponges. We all learn something every single day, no matter how old we are.
Absolutely. And one of the things we're most proud about is, our campuses are open. All of the events and activities that were taking place pre-pandemic are happening right now. Thursday evening, we're going to pull together, faculties from all of our different campuses to come together to name our Teacher of the Year and our Employee of the Year. So
that's very exciting.
Oh, it's a pep rally.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do is unique is we go and surprise the 5 finalists. So we get our board members and cabinet level staff, and we get on a bus and will literally drive throughout the county and go pick up the employees and announce to them and their students, hey, you are one of the 5 finalists. So we did that just prior to the break, drove, all over the county, took them to lunch, kind of celebrated them as being a finalist, because being a finalist is a big feat as well.
How many teachers do you have?
So there's right around 1,150 teachers. So if you look at the total number of teachers, every school selects their teacher of the year. They fill out all of the information. They go through a district interview process. That committee identifies 5 as a finalist. Then they come in, they watch them teach. So this is not like, just an application you fill out.
Right.
This is a big to-do. So we've done all of the interviewing, all of the observing, and this Thursday, we'll be able to pull them together. It's a 70s theme, so I don't know what I'm wearing for that, but it's a 70s theme. Okay. We're going to go celebrate last year's Teacher of the Year.
That's wonderful.
As their reign comes to an end, I guess, and then celebrate announce our new Teacher of the Year, as well as our Employee of the Year. So it's just not teachers, it's also employee. But that's just one sign of we are continuing to have things open. Football season took place without a hitch. All of the activities and clubs are continuing to function. Graduation will happen regardless of whatever that reality is. We're going to celebrate that in a very, very powerful way.
And you got a new crop of VPK and kindergarten kids that are going to be registering soon.
Absolutely.
I hope.
And no. We hope to. And one of the things, we learned last year is kindergarten was under-enrolled last year because of the pandemic. So parents had a choice of allowing their children to stay home.
Right.
That's what they did. So going into the summer, there's a great demand for quality summer programming, really to provide that additional time to offset some of the lost young students have had. And when you think about a first grader who had an interruption or only came 50% of the year or was in and out because of the pandemic and all of the impacts, that's 50% of their total schooling experience, because kindergarten and first grade at that time in their life, that's half of it. So we have to be able to fill in those specific gaps. So as we start to plan for summer school, we're last year we tripled the total number of students in summer programming, but this year we're looking to continue to even expand that. So
that's wonderful news, because nobody purposely says, I don't want to go to school, okay? Especially the little ones. They love going to school and playing with their friends and seeing their new teacher and all of that. But a lot of time has been missed, and so it's wonderful that the school system is thinking ahead to that, and parents should as well, because I know I always looked at the calendar in March and said, boy, I better get at this, because the kids will be out of school soon, and I'm a working parent, and what have I got planned for my kids? If I wait too long, there won't be anything there.
Absolutely, and it's important to note, we think of summer school just as, well, schools are open, and then they're open for summer school. State doesn't provide any money for summer programming for a traditional education student. They have ESY services, which is for exceptional student education, in which that is driven through a student's IEP, where that's in the best interest of that specific child. That's the only funding, which is a small subset of our student population, in which we receive funding for the school. So we got to get out there, raise money, and build partnerships to have the offerings that we have for our students.
And the gauntlet has been tossed down there, okay?
Absolutely.
Anybody that can help with the next generation of students, it starts early, but it goes on for a long time, 12 plus years.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for what you're doing, your leadership, your morale building with all of the teachers. They work so hard, as does everybody engaged in this process. So
thanks
so much
for
being here.
Absolutely. Enjoy it.
Okay. And thank you for sticking with us, and we'll talk again next week.